Let's stay with sport, which is hard to watch either live or on television without being exposed to gambling. But players too are often caught up in and becoming addicted to betting, often more so than other people, according to recent research. 2/3 of adults start gambling too before the age of 18. With us in studio this morning, two men very familiar with sport and gambling. Oisín McConville, All-Ireland football winner with Armagh and Crossmaglen Rangers and the current Wicklow manager, and Mark Potter, former professional rugby player. And Oisín and Mark are here to talk about GamePlan to help athletes, clubs and coaches with the risks of modern gambling. It's online and offers a lot of practical help and advice. Oisín and Mark, thank you both very much for coming into the studio this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Oisín, many listeners will know your story from all your work in recent years on awareness of problem gambling. But Mark, they may not be familiar with yours. Your rugby career was hit with injury very young, yes?
Yeah, so I started sort of 18, broke into sort of first grade rugby in the UK, and things were going pretty well. And in second season, I had a long-term injury, and obviously that doesn't remove all of the competitive drivers, desire to compete, win, lose. I think everything that you are, I suppose, as an athlete is built around success and failure. And I think when I didn't have the ability to play, it wasn't very long before I started looking for something to fill the void, I guess, if you like, of what was a 12, 18-month injury. So low-level betting started from there. Very enjoyable, to be honest, for a while. And then obviously
replacing the hit of sport.
Sort of, yes. Yeah. And then I had a reasonably big win, 14,000 at 19, which is obviously a lot of money for a young kid who isn't earning a particularly large amount of money at that point. And obviously that then accelerated everything, buzz replication, all of the stuff that you get in sport really is, you wanting to do it again, wanting to win, wanting to be successful. Stakes went up literally overnight from £2 bets, £5 bets to £200 bets, and then sort of cycle went from there, and for the next sort of 10 years got pretty bad. Started off with loans and credit cards and ended up with significant debt and, a lot of well-being sort of issues, and culminated in I went to Sport and Chance Clinic, Tony Adams' rehabilitation centre, the former Arsenal footballer who set up a clinic in the UK for sort of sportsmen. I was lucky enough that the Rugby Players Association in the UK paid for my treatment, and then obviously from there started to change behaviours, and for the last 10 years sort of worked alongside sport and training programmes and education programmes to help people, I guess, understand what the risks are, and help people have, let's be honest, 50% of the people in Ireland take a bet. I think it helped people understand what is safe and sustainable in that regard.
Oisín, you have told us before about how you started much younger than Mark did, yeah. And that's not unusual for people to start gambling much younger too.
And most of the people, a lot of the people that I would see week in, week out would be people who started a lot earlier than 18 years of age. So I suppose one of the things people often ask me, what would you like to see change in particular? And one of my utopias as far as gambling would be concerned was to try and stop everybody gambling until they are making a more informed decision at 18 years of age. I started at 14, I was already in addiction at 17, and addiction led to, obviously, financial bankruptcy, emotional bankruptcy, self-respect, self-esteem, relationship issues, family. It affected sport. It affected all of the things that were dear to me. And I continued in that spiral for another 11 years. So I actually didn't reach out for help until I was 29 years of age. So it's quite a long time to be stuck in something, especially knowing that there was a realisation with me at 24 and 25 that I had an issue, fair idea what I needed to do to sort it out, or to address it, but never actually done that because there was obviously a stigma, shame, embarrassment, and just an unwillingness to hold your hands up and say you have a problem.
Mark, the GamePlan Hub, why a focus on those in amateur sport in particular? Is there a higher prevalence of gambling among sports people at an amateur level?
I think a couple of points there is statistics to show people in sport are at higher risk of harm due to, like, some of the conversations we're having around, competitive drivers.
Yes.
I think when it became a problem for me, because you're almost built around success and failure, there was an inability to admit that I'm not very good at this, I need to stop. I need to practice more and get better. So there is an element of sport and gambling are obviously kind of intrinsically linked. So there's an element of the higher level of risk. In terms of provisions for community sports, if you like, I've done loads of programmes in elite sport in the UK, in America, and over here with Rugby Players Ireland. There's probably an underrepresented community of community sports that still have the same competitive drivers but don't have access to resources. So I think we've sort of, Oisín and I are obviously come together to put a lot of the content there alongside a brilliant Irish organisation called Tools for Better, who've built and are managing the website to provide resources to people who haven't necessarily had access to this in the past.
What sort of resources, Oisín? Like for coaches, for example, what do they do? How would they know when to intervene?
Well, I suppose you can spot this. If you're spending a lot of time with a coach or you're spending a lot of time with a player, you will realise at some stage, okay, I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something up. And then you explore the avenue of gambling. Gambling is a very hidden thing. It was even hidden. I used to walk into bookies. I was a traditional gambler, if you like. I walked into the bookie. It was horses, it was dogs, football, whatever. The landscape as far as gambling is concerned has completely changed. And I'm an ambassador now for GamblingCare.ie, and one of the things that we see is the demographic has changed. Okay, so people are gambling younger, a lot of women gambling, through the avenues of bingo, slots. And because we have changed, because the demographic has changed,
because gambling has changed, it's predominantly online now.
Gambling has changed predominantly online. I mean, if you go into a school today and you ask 200 students how many people have been in a bookies before, 5 people might put up their hands, and you think, geez, we're getting a bit of a handle on this. And then you say, how many people in here have had a bet before? And literally everybody puts up their hand. And I think that's how gambling has changed over the years, and I think that gives us a whole new set of issues of how to deal with it. And I think if you're a coach in that situation, the tools are there in order to first of all recognise it, look at the warning signs, recognise it, and then what do you do with it when you have that information in your hand? And I think that's important. I mean, you look at elite sport is quite well squared off as far as help, well-being. I look at the GPA, it's 2,000 players. They're really well resourced as far as well-being is concerned, but that's only 1 or 2% of the playing population. Just take for the GAA, yes, for example. So there's another cohort of people, millions of people out there who are playing sport, exposed to the same level of advertisement, sponsorship, all of those things, and it's just having a catch net there for those people who find themselves in bother.
Mark, it is hard to escape. It's everywhere. You can't watch a match without being exposed to gambling now.
I think
whatever time of day.
You look, I think it's a good thing that there's a new Irish regulator. I think in terms of young people, because it will be an audience that we capture with this young people sport. I think one of the biggest risks at the moment is I've young kids and they don't particularly watch TV. They watch Instagram, they watch TikTok, they watch streaming, and there is a number of high-profile influencers who are advertising almost crypto casinos that are unregulated, and you've got the likes of Drake with 6 million followers spinning roulette wheels advertising stake.com for $5,000 a spin, and kids are looking at that. I think I'm an advocate for sensible regulation and reform, but I think there's also a big issue around unregulated black market betting that kids are really looking at, and I think if we can provide educational content about what the risks of that are as part of the programme, it can only help.
Mark Potter, Oisín McConville, thank you both very much for coming in. Oisín, I'm so sorry that I didn't get a chance to ask you how you came so close to doing at the weekend what Meath managed to do last year.
I was glad you didn't ask.
We'll get to that at another stage on your tips for the All-Ireland, but thank you very much to Oisín McConville and to Mark Potter for coming in.